Imagine investing your life savings into what you believed was the next Bitcoin, only to discover it was all a lie. In the world of cryptocurrency, promises of fortune can turn into despair faster than you can send a digital transaction. One such harrowing tale involves a woman whose name reverberated through the corridors of deception, Ruja Ignatova, the self-proclaimed Cryptoqueen. As she built a billion-dollar empire with the fervor of 1,000 Ponzi schemes, she left a trail of broken dreams, lost lives, and unanswered questions in her wake. The saga of OneCoin began in 2014, birthed in the heart of Bulgaria. Ignatova, a driven and charismatic entrepreneur, presented this novel cryptocurrency to an unsuspecting public, a currency that, she claimed, would dethrone Bitcoin and revolutionize the financial landscape. By 2016, OneCoin had penetrated communities across Europe, Asia, and beyond, appealing to investors seeking a slice of the digital gold rush. Armed with flashy presentations and promises of annual returns upwards of 100%, Ignatova created a culture of urgency and exclusivity. However, behind the curtain of success lay a labyrinthine web of deception. Ignatova claimed that her currency had already surpassed Bitcoin in value and usage, touting a vision of financial freedom for her loyal followers. Allegedly, she boasted a staggering $4 billion in sales within the first few years, attracting investors from all walks of life, from housewives to retirees and even some high-profile businessmen. All believed in a future powered by a magical digital currency that would elevate them to prosperity. Their enthusiasm painted a bright picture of riches, but it was all smoke and mirrors. Ruja Ignatova was not just a figurehead, she was a master of manipulation. With charm and sophistication, she positioned herself as a financial savant, presenting OneCoin as more than just a cryptocurrency, but as an educational platform. Investors were lured into packages laden with promises of training sessions that would teach them to trade this allegedly revolutionary currency. The packages, ranging from 100 to 50,000 euros, also promised lavish bonuses and commissions for recruiting new members into the fold. The allure of a generous compensation structure not only fueled the company's growth, but also deepened the hold OneCoin had over its investors. Ruja crafted an elaborate facade of legitimacy. She claimed that OneCoin had a working blockchain, but allegedly it was all an illusion, existing solely in her mind. The so-called mining of OneCoins was a clever ploy designed to give the impression of legitimacy, while the reality was far more sinister. For every ounce of money deposited, there was no actual currency created, just an elaborate ledger of fabricated numbers. Investors were told they could track the growth of their assets, but the truth was, they were merely watching a phantom account inflate in tandem with their hopes. As word of the counterfeit cryptocurrency spread, Ignatova increasingly attracted media attention. She became a fixture at financial conferences, and her charm often glossed over the mounting questions surrounding OneCoin's legitimacy. According to prosecutors, due diligence was often sidestepped. Newspapers published glowing profiles, and YouTube influencers praised her audacious vision, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath. The veneer of confidence she exuded was intoxicating. Bookmarked by glitzy parties and ostentatious live events, investors flocked to her, eagerly embracing the illusion of insight she offered. But Ignatova was not content with merely building a financial empire. She craved unfettered power and influence in the cryptocurrency sector. As OneCoin continued to expand from its base in Bulgaria, it reached markets across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Allegations of fraud began to fly as red flags were raised, yet they seemed to have little impact on her soaring ambitions. Reports from investigative outlets and experts about the dubious nature of OneCoin's operations were ignored, eclipsed by the lure of quick cash. An underground network of ardent supporters emerged, willing to turn a blind eye and protect Ignatova at all costs, claiming whistleblowers were simply envious of her success. The scam flourished, a self-feeding beast fueled by greed and hope. But like all empires built on shaky foundations, the cracks began to emerge. Internal dissent bubbled to the surface, with former associates and disgruntled investors clamoring for answers. In 2017, amid increasing scrutiny and mounting complaints, the tide began to turn against Ignatova and her empire. As investigations commenced, Law enforcement agencies around the world prepared to close in on her vast operation. Then came the pivotal moment in October 2017. Ruja Ignatova vanished without a trace. As news outlets carried updates about the investigations into OneCoin, she boarded a flight to Greece, leaving her empire crumbling in her wake. Prosecutors would later suggest that she fled, taking with her essential documents and an alleged $100 million in illicit gain. The fallout was immediate. OneCoin investors watched as the walls around them closed in, realizing they had lost everything. Collectively, they had invested billions. While Ignatova was living in the shadows, the rest of her organization faced the consequences of her actions. In December 2018, Mark Scott, a lawyer affiliated with OneCoin, was arrested in the United States and later charged with laundering an astonishing $400 million on behalf of OneCoin's operations. The authorities' patience was waning, and they were determined to dismantle the robust franchise Ignatova left behind. Prosecutors revealed that Scott had used an elaborate network of shell companies and offshore accounts to obscure the path of OneCoin's illicit funds. All the while, a bubble of impending collapse loomed overhead. As agencies continued to investigate, reports unraveling the banking practices and fraudulent activities surrounding OneCoin painted a grim picture. By 2019, the first major convictions began to emerge. Others, many who now stood helplessly in the face of lost investments, desperately sought answers and accountability. Amid mounting pressure from international law enforcement, as well as the U.S. Department of Justice, the full scope of Ignatova's crimes began to take shape. By May 2020, prosecutors had charged Ignatova with multiple counts of fraud and money laundering, yet she remained elusive, still evading the long arm of the law. In the aftermath of OneCoin's collapse, the financial burden weighed heavily on thousands of investors left in distress. With claims for restitution reaching into the billions, regulatory agencies and law enforcement attempted to track down what remained of Ignatova's fortune, which was believed to be invested in luxury properties, high-end vehicles, and opulent lifestyles across Europe. Victims launched civil suits, but justice remained a distant glimmer, a dream overshadowed by the colossal betrayal they endured. Meanwhile, Ignatova's disappearance captured global headlines, becoming one of the most notable manhunts in modern finance. As authorities continued their search, they released her details to the public, even including a staggering $100,000 reward for any information leading to her capture. The chase seemed never-ending, with detective stories emerging from every corner, each more sensational than the last. Once a shimmering beacon of success, OneCoin now stood as a dire cautionary tale in the world of cryptocurrency and investment. Ruja Ignatova's story continues to intrigue, not only for the sheer audacity of her scheme, but also for the complexities of the human psyche that allowed such deceit to flourish. Regulatory bodies around the world have since ramped up enforcement and scrutiny in the tech and finance spaces, instilling changes that could protect future investors from similar fates. Today, the hunt for Ignatova endures, with speculation swirling. While authorities call for vigilance against future scams, the lessons drawn from OneCoin are stark, marking a universal reminder that beneath the glimmer of opportunity often lies a darker story, a truth that can shake the very foundations of trust in finance. Ruja Ignatova may remain at large, but the repercussions of her actions resonate, echoing through the financial landscape and reminding us all that one person's ambition can bring about a collective downfall. If you found this story interesting, hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep making these videos. Tomorrow, we are diving into a story that is just as shocking. Celsius Network, how frozen withdrawals destroyed crypto savings. You will not want to miss it. I will see you there.